Ta-da!
A cup of chai, a lazy driver, a sleepy passenger. All of these test this. The facelifted Mercedes S-Class. Now the luxury limousine has a new diesel heart and it is on a green mission.
This is the S350d and it gets an all-new inline 6-cylinder diesel engine which can meet BS6 emission norms. And the really cool part? It can run on BS4 fuel. For that, Mercedes had to customize the software that operates the engine and the exhaust system a little bit. But other than that, the exhaust is stock like you'd see in Europe, so which means you've got a diesel particulate filter, you've got a selective catalytic converter, and of course an AdBlue tank as well, which you can see right here. You open this blue nozzle, you top it up with the liquid that is sprayed into the exhaust to clean it up. It's about 25 liters every time you top it up and lasts for 15,000 kilometers. So what you're getting is a diesel S-Class that's running on BS4 fuel but giving you near BS6 levels of cleanliness in terms of the emissions. And yeah, don't get fooled by those tips. The exhaust is actually tucked away at the back over here. And really, no diesel fumes as such to speak of.
It was genuinely non-nauseating.
Other than being green, the specialty of this new inline 6-cylinder engine is its refinement. All this while that we've been shooting around the S-Class, the engine was on. It is that smooth and quiet. And we did a little experiment earlier on that will show you just how good it is.
Rev it all the way. That is very smooth indeed. And then we moved inside. And it proved to be quiet too. And not just at standstill.
Even when you get going, this engine is just so quiet. It's more the sound of the wind around the A-pillar or the road underneath that's more obvious rather than the engine itself. It's only when you mash your foot down and somewhere around 3000 RPM, that's when you get a little bit of a drone inside the cabin. Otherwise, the rest of the time, this thing is quiet. Now, it might be all smooth and quiet, but don't think it's boring.
This is the most powerful diesel engine from Mercedes in India. It makes 286 PS of power and a solid 600 Newton meters of torque, which is a lot more than the outgoing engine.
This is a diesel that's punchy just about everywhere.
A multi-stage turbocharger makes sure of that, no matter what revs you're at.
Under 2000 RPM, in the mid-range it gets strong and it doesn't flatten out at the top end of the rev range either. Yeah, it just revs to 4,500 RPM, but just throughout it's punchy. The S350, as you would expect of an S, feels at ease no matter what you throw at it, whether it's the city or the highway. And part of the credit for that has to also go to the gearbox. This 9-speed gearbox is smooth and quick, as they should be.
And for the record, it is also 1 second faster from 0 to 100. But more importantly,
well, the S is as sumptuous here in the back as it always was with this generation, which means you can obviously really stretch out here. Still stretching out further. This is enough for me for sure. It even has a nice little footrest out front. You can zen out here. But the one thing that I still do not like is the suspension setup. It's a bit too soft. In comfort, you'll find that there's a lot of this up and down wavy motion, and where our roads aren't perfect, so over them you keep getting this movement. There is a workaround. You can put it into sport mode.
This cuts down the bounciness and is still usable on broken roads. The new 18-inch rims are a size smaller than before, but they get taller tires to help out with the ride quality.
Now, sitting in the lap of luxury, what more can you get? Well, obviously with a car like the S-Class, which is the definition of luxury car, tech is bundled in as standard.
On the inside, the S-Class also gets 64 colors for ambient lighting, and you can use all kinds of combinations across the cabin. More importantly, the display for the driver and the center console is now one seamless unit. This LED panel looks crisp and has 3 layouts for the driver's cluster. Inside the cabin, there are wireless charging pads for your phone, and you might also notice that the headlights dance. Yes, they do at startup. The headlamps are all LED units that are brighter and smarter than before. The 3 elements for the DRLs are all LED as well. This 3-bar layout is specially reserved for the S-Class. And the grille is special too. This subtle chromed grille was formerly reserved for the Maybach. And hidden behind the black plastic panel on the grille is a lot of technology.
A lot of autonomous driving technology has been updated on the S, and a lot of it you may or may not use, but there's one thing you definitely could, and that's the park assist system, which has been refined even further. Let's see what's changed. So yeah, we found a parking spot. We'll choose to use that. The screen is asking me to engage reverse. I've done that. And now comes the really cool part. Hands off, feet off the pedals. It's steering on its own. That's not the cool part. It used to do that earlier as well. Steer away, yes. Notice that? I didn't have to change the gear. It did that on its own this time, right? Again, we were going forward. Now we're gonna go backwards without me touching the gear lever, which is here. Ta-da! And see, somebody's just walking past the back. The car stopped, allowed it to pass, and then carries on. This is a bit scary, you know, especially when there are other expensive cars around you. But yeah. Done.
But there are some disappointments. As geeks, we wish the S-Class also got the magic body control. But on a more practical note, the front seats don't get memory settings. And well, that's that. But none of that can take away from the brilliance of the new diesel engine equipped S-Class. This new engine not only meets the S-Class's lofty standards, but it raises them to an all-new high. Quite simply, phenomenal.